We often think of AI as this one single giant brain. But what if it's really more like a team of super specialized experts? You've got your math whiz, a creative genius, a master coder. Each one is absolutely brilliant at their one thing. The real trick, though, is how do you make sure the right expert gets the right job every single time? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into today. And that brings us to this really fundamental question. I mean, think about it. Imagine you're a manager, right? You get a new project, but you can't actually ask your team members how they'd approach it. Nope, you just have to pick someone based on the project title alone. That's the exact blind spot that AI systems are dealing with right now. And this is where we get to what researchers call the AI dispatcher problem. Just think of it like this. You're in charge of a team of unbelievably talented, but also incredibly expensive AI specialists. So when a new question or a new task comes in, you might think, well, I'll just ask every AI to solve it, and then I'll pick the best answer. But that's like paying your entire team of experts to do a job that only needs one person. It's just a massive waste of time, money, and, of course, computational power. The real goal, the holy grail, is to have a smart dispatcher that knows exactly who to send the job to from the get-go. But, and this is a big but, there's a problem. These dispatchers, or as they're called routers, they have a pretty fundamental blind spot. They're making educated guesses, for sure, but they're basically guessing with only half the story. And, well, that leads to a lot of mistakes. Okay, so this whole process has a name. It's called LLM routing. And it's really just about directing a user's question to the best possible model in a system that has a whole bunch of them. The goal is super simple. Get the best possible answer in the most efficient way. So how do these routers typically work? Well, the standard method is what you see over on the left, query only. The router literally just looks at your question and only your question to make a choice. It's fast, yeah, but it's kind of like judging a book by its cover. Now, the ideal way, over on the right, would be response aware. This is where the router gets a little sneak peek at how each model would answer. This is way more accurate, but as we've said, it's just way too slow and expensive to actually work in the real world. And look, this isn't just a theory. Researchers actually tested this. Check out this chart. When a router is trained with access to potential answers, that's the response-aware bar, its performance just jumps. It's significantly higher. This is the proof right here. The information hiding in the answer is just as important as the information in the question. That blind spot we talked about, it's a very real roadblock to better performance. So the big question is, how do you get the best of both worlds? How do you get that accuracy of the ideal method without the massive cost? Well, the answer comes in a new framework called Lookahead routing, and the name really says it all. It's designed to give that AI dispatcher a kind of foresight. And this quote gets right to the heart of the idea. Lookahead doesn't waste time generating the full detailed answer from every single model. Instead, it foresees the output by predicting what's called its latent representation. Now, the easiest way to think about this is like it's a compact summary or a unique fingerprint of the answer. It captures the whole essence of the response without what's called full inference, which basically just means it avoids that entire costly process of generating the complete text. So here's the breakdown, and it's actually a beautifully simple three-step process. First, your question comes in. Second, instead of firing up all those big expensive models, Lookahead uses a small, super fast model to predict the fingerprint of each potential answer. And third, the router just compares these fingerprints and instantly sees which specialist AI is the perfect fit for the job. It's kind of genius. You get all the benefits of foresight with almost none of the cost. Of course, an elegant idea is one thing, but does it actually work in practice? Well, let's take a look at the results from putting Lookahead to the test against the very best routing methods out there today. Okay, here's the headline number. On average, across 7 different and really difficult benchmarks, Lookahead delivered a 7.7% performance gain over the previous state-of-the-art method. Now, I know what you might be thinking. 7.7%. Is that a lot? Well, in the world of AI development, where progress is often measured in tiny fractions of a percent, 7.7% is a massive leap forward. For companies spending millions on this stuff, an efficiency gain like that is an absolute game changer. And this wasn't just a fluke on one type of task. Just look at this breakdown. When you put Lookahead head-to-head with its top competitors on really specific jobs, like following complex instructions, doing mathematical reasoning, or writing code, it consistently comes out on top. It's not just better on average, it's a versatile all-star. But here's where it really shines, on open-ended tasks. For things like creative writing or following really nuanced instructions, there often isn't one single right answer. The old query-only routers really struggle with this. But because Lookahead can compare the style and the substance of the potential answers via those fingerprints, it excels at picking the best model for these more subjective, creative tasks. So let's zoom out for a second. What does all of this actually mean for the future of AI? Why does looking ahead really matter in the real world? Well, the payoff here is huge. First, you get smarter decisions, with the router picking the right tool for the job way more often. That leads to much more efficient systems that save a ton of energy and money. Overall performance gets a major boost, closing the gap to what a perfect router could do. And crucially, it really shows its strength on the toughest problems, the ones where maybe only one specialist on the whole team actually knows the answer. And that just leaves us with this really fascinating thought. Look-ahead routing, in a way, teaches an AI system a form of intuition, that ability to anticipate an outcome without having to go through every single step. So the big question is, if AI can learn to look ahead and predict its own success, what other subtle, human-like intuitions are next on the horizon?